So we were headed down the coast of Northern California, the Pacific Coast Highway, and I am telling you, it is beautiful as any place on our planet. But as we got near San Francisco, things took a turn for the worse. And first of all, this was a time in Napa Valley when all the power was cutting out, they were having fires, and then to top it all off, I got super sick. Now, we didn't know what to do. We ended up checking into a hotel for a few days. And well, it was just really kind of a point of inflection where how are we gonna handle van life when we get sick?
Yeah. Because it became obvious pretty quickly that when someone's feeling that bad, and I did come down with it a little bit, whatever kind of respiratory thing, fever thing he had going on, but I didn't get it near as bad as he did. But how's that going to work in a van? You know, the passing zones, taking turns, it just, that small of a space is very difficult when somebody is that sick. So our planned 7-month trek around the United States had a purpose. Working out any issues we had with the van, working out any bugs, learning the logistics of living in a van, the day-to-day, how does it work to live in a van, and saying goodbye to family and friends. But we did not expect the mental lessons that we would need to learn to make this van life successful. So we're going to try to break some of that down for you.
Yeah, we wanted to talk to you about the lessons that were learned along the way. And the first one really was the freedom and the lifestyle. And so as we left San Francisco, even though we were sick, we still had the freedom to stop, take a break, and then move on and do the next thing. And the freedom of during the week being able to go to a park when nobody's there.
Not worrying about whether something's open on a Wednesday or a Saturday or a Sunday, or it's truly hard to explain, and for someone that's worked a scheduled job their entire life to wrap your head around doing things, anything, when you want, how you want, and what clothes you want almost. I mean, you have to have them on, of course, but I'm starting to learn that I can wear my pajamas a lot more than I used to.
Well, to be honest with you, it's one of the things that most of my friends that I talk to who've retired, who are approaching retirement, worry about is what are they going to do with their time once you do that? And we were learning, hey, trust me, this is a lot better. This is a lot better. You'll find things to do.
I mean, I'll give the example of we were driving somewhere through some mountains out west. I don't even remember where, but we pulled off on a pullout overlooking this river, and we said, hey, we've got the stuff to make a pizza.
Yeah.
We made a pizza right on the side of the road in this beautiful spot that most people will likely never even see. And we stopped there and cooked and ate a pizza and then moved on our way. And that's freedom that's hard to explain to you guys. But
what it led to was another lesson that we learned, which was kind of the rhythm of the road.
The rhythm of the road.
And meaning that there were certain chores that we'd have to do during the day or during the week. First of all, we knew we didn't really like to drive more than 3 to 5 hours a day. And then we also learned that our food supply, our water supply, our gray tank, our wastewater would last comfortably about 4 or 5 days, and then it was kind of getting to the end. So the rhythm kind of became, okay, we got 4 or 5 days to do whatever we want, and then we got to go to a place where we can supply up.
That's what we started to call it. I mean, we'd have to do the grocery store, we'd have to find water, we'd have to be able to get rid of our trash. So there was a schedule.
We called them chore days.
Chore days. It became chore days. So, but that was, we got to decide when and where, but we had to kind of be strategic about it or we'd run out of food or water. So different things started to become more important on the schedule. It wasn't what time do you have to be at work, it's how many more days can we go on this tank of water.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. It started to change.
Exactly. And so when we planned our excursions or we said, are we going to do this, are we going to do that, it was kind of all centered around that. And so even though we had the freedom, we didn't have the schedule, we had enough structure to kind of make it feel good. Yeah. And the benefit of that was we started getting healthier, guys. We started losing some of the anxiety and the stress that comes with working, meeting deadlines, and all that other stuff. we started eating better. And I think earlier we told you guys we were living on a budget, so we ate a lot in the van. When we got our food for the van, we couldn't buy a bunch of junk food and snacks because we didn't have the space. And we cooked a lot of fresh food and fresh veg. That was the cheapest thing rather than buying processed foods. And the end result was we started getting healthier, we started losing weight, and we started feeling better. And I think if you look at the videos, you'll really kind of see the difference.
Curt did it faster than I did. Of course. So we'd been sick and we were in that hotel room and we left and we were maybe 75% when we left. We were so close to San Francisco. We're like, we've got to go. So we went and we parked on the street there in San Francisco. And again, it kind of just backed up what we had felt in Seattle. Cities are hard in a van, whether it was what we liked internally was changing or whether actually how difficult vans are in cities. Something made us know cities weren't going to be a destination for us along the way, unless it was a very special city. But we did get some epic footage of the bridge.
Well, San Francisco,
it's a beautiful city.
San Francisco is a gorgeous city, and again, I was still sick, so
but it just kind of started to add on. And
parking was brutal.
That's going to be a theme. You're going to see us, and a lot of people along our entire journey would be like almost upset with us if we skipped a city. But this is kind of leading back to why. We had learned that they were difficult. Yeah, but we headed to Yosemite. Still feeling a little bit blah, but man, it was pretty, wasn't it,
I'll
Curt?
tell you, as soon as we got out of the city and started getting the nature, in California, you get out of the cities and it doesn't take long to get in the farmland. And we drove through that to Yosemite Park and talk about jaw-dropping.
Oh, Yosemite is something. If you've never put your eyes on it in real life, everyone, if they have the opportunity, should at least drive through there from one side to the other. You can do it in a few hours. But we had timed it where when we got to the east side of Yosemite, the aspen were turning yellow. And it was unbelievable. And it had been a little while since we had seen some wildlife. But man, that bear, do you remember that bear?
It was up by Convict Lake, kind of on the backside of Yosemite, up in the Mammoth area. And we were chasing the aspens. And one of these aspen trees, as the season's winding down, pre-hibernation, because we're starting to get close to winter now, the bear's just scampering up the tree, kind of like grabbing whatever he was grabbing, buds off the tree or whatever, as quick as he could. He was just
from
like
tree to tree. It was the coolest thing to watch.
I mean, guys,
was so cool
it was locked in. And as we headed down through Mammoth, again, we were chasing hot springs.
Oh, we found there's a bunch of very rural, very remote hot springs.
Little sparse hot
scattered
springs.
out there between down in the Mammoth area and the Yosemite area along that east side. And we found a place where we could park back there. It was several miles off the road.
Free parking, just this little hot hole in the ground.
What was it called? Crab pot?
They had one crab pot boil, but there were several of them, and some of them were kind of like little, bumpy roads, and where are we going, I mean, you're looking out in the corner because you're in the middle of the desert or whatever.
Yeah,
but
you just sit there and you prop your feet up on this thing and you're looking out, you can see the mountains in the distance and all these wide open fields all around you. And it was really something. It really was. That's a special part of our country that many people might not even know they exist out there.
Yeah.
But it's really cool, little hidden hot springs all scattered out
But as
there.
Snow said, that really kind of locked in the city versus nature debate, and we were both unanimous in what we preferred.
Yeah.
But we were headed towards across Death Valley.
Yeah, and we needed to stop off for a chore day. We did some laundry, had to get some groceries. I can't remember the name of this little town. Bishop, California, small little town. And we pulled in and we ate some barbecue at a little restaurant there. And it was good barbecue until the next day.
Oh.
And if we thought we were sick up in Napa Valley, that didn't hold anything compared to the type of sickness we went through in this small little town. And to not give you too much information with the grossing you out, but it's the kind of sickness that a van composting toilet could not handle. And there were no big hotels. We had to find this little hole-in-the-wall hotel, and it was rough. It was rough.
It was rough. And the irony is, during this time frame, we had decided to start another series, which was a Tech Talk series on how I built various aspects of the van. And I had just released a
composting
toilet video.
Oh, the timing. Oh,
What to do with your poo, I think was the name of it.
That's what we called
But
it.
anyway, I won't go into any more graphic detail.
It was
I
bad.
think we've probably scared you already.
We were there several days in that hotel room.
Yeah. But the reason we started the other series is because our YouTube channel was not kind of accelerating as much as we hoped.
Yeah.
We were having a little bit of success, but we really needed to earn some extra income.
More. It was starting to weigh a little bit more on our minds because, we had a strategy, and a few of you have mentioned this in the comments. Yes, we had sold our home and we had a little money in the bank, but that money needed to stretch out and last us for the journey around the world. It's not like we could just go spend it all because it would have run out within a year and then we're stuck somewhere in Mexico or something. And our schedule was we would have been making more money online, which YouTube was our choice at this point, and we weren't. So we were falling behind our targets of our income, and we didn't really know what to do. So we were a little bit down about that.
Yeah, well, we did. Like I said, we started the second series of Tech Talk, which meant now we were putting out 2 videos a week instead of the 1 a week. And we also recognized that we needed some new equipment.
Yeah.
That we needed to vlog better, of course. We needed to be better with our music selections and our music volumes, of course. But the video equipment and audio equipment we had
to improve, which is an investment. But we did,
we spent the money. As we were headed across
Death Valley.
Valley.
Another ironic thing was it was kind of our lowest point in van life at that time. And we were at the lowest point in the United States, Death Valley. But we ordered some stuff to get delivered to us in Vegas. We got
at one of the Amazon drop boxes.
Yeah, we got the Movi, which back then was this little square stabilizer that I could put my phone in, and it had this cute little puffy microphone.
Little gimbal.
It ended up working pretty good. And you invested in the Ronin, which was a bigger investment and held our bigger Sony camera.
Yeah, well, at the time, early on, we realized the phones weren't good enough, so we did have the Sony camera that we were using for wildlife, but we were also using it for vlogging. The Ronin was something that we could put a camera that size on to smooth out our footage so it wasn't so bouncy and jumpy. And the Sony was a great camera with great quality. And so during this series, you would really, if you went back and watched our videos, right now you really notice a huge improvement in the quality of our video and our audio.
Between Death Valley and our next destination, which we'll talk about in a minute when we headed to the canyons, drastic improvement. At least in our minds, the quality changed drastically. Editing became easier. We're still having some sound issues, but we're working on it. We're getting better. But that rolls us into our next topic would be the logistics of van life were getting easier. And when you live in a van and you've sold your home, you don't have an address. You don't have a way to get things delivered to you. Now, fast forward to now, 7 years later in the United States, that is super easy. But back then was the very beginning of those Amazon lockboxes. Yeah. They were starting to pop up, and that's when we discovered we can get our new camera gear delivered to us at one of these boxes in Las Vegas. And I was so excited when the doors started popping open and all these boxes started coming out. But we were learning how to live in a van.
Yeah, and we were also learning better about where we could stay in camp spots. I think so many people when they start out in van life or whatever, intuitively you think your only spots are just camp spots,
or Walmart.
Campsites, or Walmart, or Cracker Barrel.
There's so much more.
We didn't necessarily want to go that route, and right off the bat, we found a stay at Bally's, which is a casino right on the Strip in Vegas. It was free. We could go into the casino, and as long as we were gambling, we could
have a few drinks for free.
So we were paying the penny
buffets
slides.
were still cheap back then.
Yeah, I mean,
it was beautiful.
So we learned.
And I kind of like slot machines. I could have stayed there as long as Curt would have let me, but
The reality is this is not a lesson learned on the van trip. We already knew Snow loved the one-armed bandit.
It's true. I do want to pause on the lessons learned and insert a current affair, a current event into this video. And that is, if you followed our journey through West Africa, you may have met our friends that live in the big, giant blue overlanding rig. Kim and Susie, they're from Germany, and they kind of were on that same path with us and have become dear friends that we stay in touch with. Well, they are currently in Mexico touring with their van, and you guys can follow them over on Instagram, but they're touring in their van, and they're working their way towards the United States. And they were asking us about staying in Vegas, and we were telling them how cool it was to stay at Bally's, and then we went and looked.
And it's
Bally's doesn't let you do that.
Well, Bally's has sold out. They're someplace else, and they don't have the parking. We also use the parking, the campground in Fremont,
yeah.
So that was
so
paid.
we sent them there, but that's just a little current event as things have changed. It's been 7 years.
Yeah.
So although we had this epic free campsite in Vegas, if you're trying to plan that right now, you can't go do it, unfortunately.
And although this was a long time ago, I still think casinos, a lot of casinos
around the country,
around the U.S. are good places to overnight free. They offer specials. Yeah. Some of them really.
Just not on the strip. On the strip.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Sorry for the breaking news there, but
the reality is we were really getting more confident with our ability to use iOverlander, the Google, and other resources to find free, wild, safe camp spots.
Now the next thing, and this doesn't even really tie too much into the schedule of how the thing was going, but we also started to learn that weather was going to be a big impact on van life and on our journey for different reasons. One, a rain day in the van is way different than a rain day at your house. You can't open the door for the kitties.
Especially a few rainy days stacked on each other.
Yeah, you're up in there, the humidity gets different, you can't open the door for the cats, everybody starts to get a little gloomy, like the weather, then it's gonna get muddy outside, the van gets dirtier. Rain days are no fun in the van. You figure it out and you make do, but we were learning, okay, it doesn't just rain and you move on. It impacts the entire schedule.
Well, rainy days became editing days and work days.
Yeah.
And you know, another thing that we learned, speaking of that, is YouTube was a lot of work. And so, you know, we were spending 2-3 days a week editing our videos.
Yeah.
And the other 2 or 3 days, we were shooting videos. So shooting and editing became part of the rhythm of the road, part of our daily stuff. It didn't necessarily feel like work because we're out filming these beautiful things and looking at these beautiful things. But actually the editing part and the organizing and all that was work.
Yeah.
And it just became part of our lifestyle.
And then when you know, in Florida, when you're watching the weather, the main thing we would worry about would be the rain or a big thunderstorm coming in. But we learned we needed to stay up on the wind forecast, driving through some of these long desert roads. You know, if strong winds were predicted, those blew our van around like a sailboat. So we had to start paying a little bit more attention. There were some white knuckle driving in some of those places where, I mean, it's literally, we pulled over a few times out west and just been like, holy crap, the van's going to turn over. Yeah. So we had to pay more attention to that.
Well, and temperatures. We learned temperatures. And when we were down in Florida, when we first started our journey, Vanna crunched on the air conditioner, and we lost that. And that
was an issue.
Heat was a huge mess. And now as we're traveling down south through the west, it's winter time's approaching. It's getting cold.
Yeah, in fact, when we were working our way to Zion National Park now, or Bryce, one of those canyons, we parked there overnight and we had a freeze, and our little filter that hung down under the van for the shower, it just shattered it.
Yeah, it got too brittle, maybe a rock hit it or something, and we learned that stuff was going to break and we had to be able to fix it.
And the main thing we learned during this as we're adjusting to how the weather affects the van is this is going to become part of our scheduling as we move forward. And naively, maybe we didn't think about it before, but like, you're not going to drive through the Swiss Alps in the middle of winter. That one's kind of obvious, but like in Central and South America, it started to affect our schedule of, in the summertime, we need to be higher elevations or at least close to them. You know, we started to learn weather impacts van life, period.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, at this point in time, we're kind of starting to get into Utah and down into Arizona.
New
And we
Mexico.
came to Bryce Canyon, and Snow introduced me to hoodoos.
Hoodoos.
And as we were looking across the vastness, and wow, there was a trail that went down into the bottom of Bryce Canyon. And I was like, Snow.
We were sitting there, and across the way, there were like these little people. They were like little ants, but they were people walking. And he's like, look. And you can see his eyes start to twinkle.
I was like,
and he
Snow, I
started
got to
to
do
stand
this.
up more straighter. He's like, I got to do it. And that was probably, today you wouldn't call that a big hike because of fitness level and experience.
No.
But that was what you would probably classify as your first big hike.
I would classify that as a gorgeous hike.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the lighting in
Navajo
that.
Trail or something like that. Something like that. Anyway, a beautiful hike.
Bryce Canyon, and we went on to do some I went on to hike in some slot canyons.
Wire Pass.
And I just got to tell you guys, getting in those rock formations with those red, orange, brown rocks and the sunlight and all that, the way it shimmers off it, and just sort of your mind just goes blank and you're just staring at beautiful nature. And it was something that kind of changed me, really.
Yeah.
And I just learned that I absolutely loved to hike.
Yeah, and you can actually see it, guys, if you've watched any of Patagonia or the Dolomites or anywhere you did a hike, or if you back up and watch these hikes in Utah and in Arizona. Curt's it gets more charisma in his eyes. I mean, physically there's a transformation, and you can hear it in his voice when he's doing these hikes. I'm not there, so I watch them with you guys on video. But he's excited, and you can tell, and that's when we're like, Curt's going to become a hiker.
But the important thing again, guys, in this is I wasn't a hiker before.
No.
We didn't have an RV before. We weren't campers. All this is new to this, so it's self-discovery, and yet at the same time, as we said a few times so far in this video, it really did shape our journey. Moving forward.
Now, while Curt is doing these hikes, I am in the van. Even if I wanted to do some of them, the smaller ones I would get out and climb around on some rocks here or there, and I might pay for it the next day.
Oh, we did that one with the beautiful rock formations.
With the colored stuff. I don't remember what it was called, but so it's not like I did nothing. But
it was the Devil's Playground, I think.
That was one of them, yeah. So I did get out. Don't think I never got out of the van and walked around, but I had to be very wary of the steepness because ups, mainly downs, were really hard on my bad knee.
She was bone on bone in her right knee, no cartilage left.
Well, and just for the medical people out there, I was at an age where my insurance company would not approve surgery on my knee. They said I was too young. So this was pain I was just going to have to deal with and learn to live with. And it's what we were doing. We were making the best of it. But I started to learn when we would pull up to these places, don't just pull into the first parking place. Let's angle the van where I can open the door and I've got some scenery and maybe I can walk out and sit on a picnic table that's there. And I learned to make the area around the van just as not as exciting and adrenaline rush as Curt's hikes, but we would work to make it more peaceful where I was still in nature without going on the hike. And that's something that kind of makes sense when you look back at it. But when we first started this, we'd just pull in and find the closest parking place. We had to change that. We had to put me in better spots. The door would always be open. Me and the kiddies would chill. I would be getting some editing done. And if you think about living in 94 square feet with someone else, we learned to appreciate the time apart. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Well, you have your own space for a little while.
Yeah, Curt would be out on the hike and the van is mine. And it's all mine, and I can talk to myself or talk to the cats or just lay there or scroll or watch a movie on my laptop or anything. But it was our alone time, which was very therapeutic, which is going to roll us into our next one, which is communication, living together in a van.
Well, I think, it's easy kind of to talk about this from a learning lesson in hindsight, I'm not sure at the time we actually felt like it was a lesson learned because, as Snow said, she wasn't really communicating with me how bad her knee was. And even if she was communicating, I wasn't understanding. So that type of stuff can cause some tension and frustration why can't we go here? Why can't we go there? And in her head, she's thinking about her physical limitations. And of course, there's a whole lot of other things that can come to play. And I think when couples kind of talk to us when we first meet them and they're like, oh, you guys live in a van full time. One of the things as a couple they're most curious about is, how do you get along?
Yeah.
I could never do that. I would kill her. Or I would kill him. Or
and I will say that we did always somewhat manage it, even at the beginning, but the beginning was way rockier, and we've worked through kind of how to deal with that. We can't sit here and tell you we never had a fight or an argument.
No.
That's just not true, because we did. And we had to. So in your house, if you get into a debate with your significant other, you can go to the bedroom and watch TV in there while they sit on the porch. You can get away from each other and have what I would call the cool down period. You can't do that in a van. There's nowhere to go. You're there. Plus, the biggest part about living in a van with no home base, this is full-time travel. This isn't a weekend or a week trip, but you're a team of two. It is you, it was me and Curt, and that was it. We made all the decisions. We were responsible for everything. Where are we going to sleep tonight? Where are we going to sleep tomorrow night? When do we get food? I mean, like, decisions that matter. And they have to be made day to day, on the fly. There is no opportunity to not be able to talk to each other. Where do we get off? Do we get gas here? Everything's always actively happening. So you can't get mad at each other and do the silent treatment. It will not work in a van.
And some couples have this problem where they're like, where are we going for dinner tonight, hon? And she's like, I don't know, where do you want to go? I don't know, where do you want to go? Raise your hand if you've hit the like button or make a comment if you've got a story about you and your wife trying to make a decision about where you're going to go out to eat for dinner. Well, guess what, guys? We got to make a ton of these decisions every day together, and we developed a saying. I don't think we developed it this time because we were working at this particular aspect of life, how to communicate our whole entire journey. But we did learn, as one goes, the van goes. And so if she's having a bad day or a grumpy day, it's not going to be long before I'm having a grumpy day, and the cats picked up on that, and we're all grumpy and we're all yelling, and we might as well stop and just figure it out. Figure it out.
And sometimes the other person might not even know that something's just eating you up inside. And you just have to say, we got to stop for a minute because you're doing XYZ and I can't take it anymore. And he'd be like, well, I didn't even know I was doing XYZ. But I'm like, you are, and we can't do it anymore. And you talk through it. And then you're like, all right, slate's clean, back on the road. What's next?
So the lesson learned is, if you don't learn to become a better communicator, if you can't talk about things, if you can't come to some resolution, some compromise quickly, then it's only going to build and fester, and you're probably going to become a statistic.
Fail van lifer, because it really takes communication. And I'm not saying we're expert communicators. We got better over the 7-year journey. There are still days that we should probably have listened to this video and work through stuff better. But when you are on the same page and you are open to just saying what's on your mind and sorting through it, it's a lot better in the van.
Yeah. And at this point in time, our time in the U.S. is kind of running out. So it's running out. So it's time to think about preparing for what we're going to do for crossing the border, because guys,
we're leaving the USA.
Once we go to Mexico, we're leaving the USA, and we have no plans to come back for the foreseeable future.
We have a lot more lessons to learn.
So much more to learn.
Lessons.
And I will tell you another quick thing, a sneak peek. One of the things that we learned was we needed some work done in the van. Yeah. We're going to pick that up in the next episode. Yeah. Thank you guys again for joining us. We always love having you along on our videos. We miss it when you don't show up. Leave us a comment. Leave us a like.
Subscribe.
Love you guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Now that's a wrap on this adventure. But if you loved joining us, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell too. That way you're always the very first to know exactly when our next video drops. And for all the updates between videos, come follow us over on Facebook and Instagram.